Hello and welcome to the Morning Watch on Love 101 FM. I'm your host, Stokeley Marshall. A special welcome to our listeners on love101.org. And if you are overseas and on the move, US listeners can access us at 712-832-8001. And if you are in the UK, 0330-332-6541, or join us via the Love 101 FM app that can be downloaded from the Google Play Store or the Apple Store. You can also join us on Love 101 FM Facebook and YouTube Live. In the first watch today, will the sugar tax work? For whom? And in second watch, Barbados 2026 elections, pros, cons, and lessons that come from a third consecutive sweep. For our social media question, we ask, will you be changing your drinking habit because of the sugar tax? Share your responses on our Love 101 FM Facebook page and YouTube channel, and also on WhatsApp 876-9973-125 using the hashtag The Morning Watch. We'll share your response later on the program, but first, here's our quote.
All right, good morning. Today's I quote says, "The church is looking for better methods. God is looking for better men." This one is from E.M. Bounds.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So we are not in alignment with God, it would appear,
It
Juka.
looks so. Let's shake up our folly ground.
Shake up the... All right. Good morning, Juka.
Good morning. Good morning.
The first watch. We'll be back after this break.
Sometimes all we need is a listening ear. The listening ear, the counseling, the logical reasoning, and spiritual guidance are what appeal to us. That's why I'm here. I'm Dr. Joan Pinkney, the counselor, your counselor on Love 101 FM, Tuesdays and Wednesdays, 10 to 11 p.m. You know you can call on me. I will listen and more. So let's talk about what's bothering you. Anything. Tune in, listen, call in, text or voice message. I'm Dr. Joan Pinkney, counseling psychologist, ready with a listening ear. Tuesdays and Wednesdays, 10 to 11 p.m. Right here on the family station, Love 101 FM.
There is
Life can feel overwhelming at times, but you don't have to face it alone. The Ministry of Counseling and Prayer of the Edgewater Baptist Church is here to support you with our caring and confidential telephone counseling service. Whatever you're going through, grief, stress, family challenges, or just feeling stuck, our trained counselors are ready to listen, pray, and guide you toward hope and healing. Take the first step today. Call us at 876-220-6474 or 876-332-7956. Weekdays between 8 a.m. and 9 p.m. Saturdays and Sundays between 8 a.m. and 8 p.m. Help is available through the Prayer and Counseling Ministry of the Edgewater Baptist Church. Remember, help is just a phone call away. That's 876-220-6474 or 876-332-7956. Weekdays between 8 a.m. and 9 p.m. Saturdays and Sundays between 8 a.m. and 8 p.m. Call now and let us walk this journey with you.
happy, 'cause you pop straight.
Welcome back to the Morning Watch. I'm your host, Stokeley Marshall. The whole matter of sugary drinks. Will the sugar tax work? For whom? Well, our guests to discuss this morning, we have Michael Diamond, President, Consumer Intervention Jamaica, and O'Dane Brooks, Policy and Research Consultant and PhD Scholar. Mr. Brooks, Mr. Diamond, good morning.
Good morning, Stokely. Good to be here once again.
That is Mr. Brooks, Mr. Diamond. I don't think we have Mr. Diamond on just yet. Starting with you, O'Dane Brooks. Oh, Mr. Diamond, I think you're now with us. You're muted, Mr.
Yep.
Diamond. I think you're
Hi,
muted.
good morning, Stokeley. How are you? And of course, good morning to your listeners.
Good morning, gentlemen. Good morning, Mr. Diamond. Good morning, Mr. Brooks. Now, what is the sugar tax and why now? Starting with you, Mr. Diamond.
All right. Well, the sugar tax, which is an appropriate name,
If I can call
is is the government's response. Well, two prongs to our health epidemic that's going on in Jamaica, and of course, an attempt to fill a gap in our budget for the 2026-2027 fiscal year.
wasn't
The,
the sugar tax proposed, if I can call it that, by the way?
uh
Let's call it that for the purpose of this discussion. The sugar tax, wasn't it proposed by the ministry or the Minister of Finance? So why did you start with health?
Well, interestingly enough, even though it came through the Ministry of Finance, it's been something that has been advocated for many years, for over 10 years actually, that we've been seeking to have a tax on certain sugary products.
Do you think
So
it will
the
pull in a lot of
ministry,
revenue? Do you think it will pull in a lot of revenue?
well, definitely, I would definitely say it would pull in revenue
If it's
in,
going to pull in a
in,
lot of
in the
revenue,
long term.
it's not going to enhance health because it means that people would probably still be consuming these sugary products, and therefore um, the health issue would not have been resolved. Would it?
Guess what? The reality is that there is a sugar addiction, not just in Jamaica, but of course globally. And the
So
fact that
government
there
is making money from sugar addiction.
Well, I would say
Oh,
that there is an
Mr.
addiction.
Diamond, how
So
can
the
you say
fact
that?
is, no. So the fact is that individuals that will continue to consume these products, and we are collecting a revenue from it.
So the
That
demand for
revenue
sugary
can
products
also,
is inelastic. Inelastic, in economics, elasticity, inelasticity. So when it is inelastic, it means that people will continue to buy regardless of the price. You think the demand for sugary drinks is inelastic?
I would say that there will be a decrease, but there will still be a continued consumption, and that revenue can certainly go towards it has to go towards the budget, because what the Ministry of Health is dealing with a lot of these chronic diseases and
Yeah,
lifestyle diseases
yeah.
is that the
Such
cost
as
of that has to be
diabetes,
covered somehow.
such as diabetes.
Not just diabetes, hypertension,
Yes.
and other cardiovascular diseases. The fact of the matter is that we need to do a lot more public education about what is happening in the health sector because of
Or
these
tackle the
lifestyle
addiction
diseases.
issue. Or tackle the addiction issue.
Well, we have to do it holistically, and it begins with information and education. Because again, this is a part of a long-term advocacy that has been going on, which began with front of package warning labels, so individuals will know items that are excessive in sodium, in sugars, and other harmful ingredients. So this is I would say it's a win-win for those who would be challenging it to say, well, it's just a revenue. It's just a revenue point for the government. The reality of it is that we do have a very serious health issue, and we have seen successes in other jurisdictions, and Jamaica is no different, and we can certainly benefit from that, because far too long our manufacturers and distributors have basically taken advantage of the sugar addiction that the country actually is facing.
What about those with the smoking addiction and the alcohol addiction? You have a similar issue with them too?
Well, look at
Or you only have an issue with those who
well,
are
you
making
know,
money from sugary products?
remarkably enough,
Are you
the
discriminating, Mr. Diamond?
remarkably enough, we do have several different types of addictions, but we certainly have to deal with the ones that we can actually reach at this particular stage. We've seen
Interesting.
what happened with tobacco manufacturers abroad, especially in the US.
Yeah.
So, it is not something that we can't tackle. But for right now, what is happening extensively? What if I tell you that 54% of individuals in Jamaica are suffering from some level of lifestyle disease? And that is what the Ministry of Health has been addressing and has to
Yeah.
deal with.
Yeah.
So we have to address that. And if beginning to do that is a sugar tax on certain products, then definitely it is something that we have to support.
O'Dane Brooks, policy and research consultant, PhD scholar. Your thoughts? Because when you think of a tax on an item that many people like, and or on items that many people like, whether it's because of addiction or because of the price, maybe some of these items are at the lower end of the price scale, if I could use that term. Sometimes healthier foods are actually more expensive. So if you're going to be placing a tax on sugary items, as bad as they may be for your health, you might have another effect where it provides less options for those further down on the socioeconomic scale. And you might have these sugary products being very accessible to the rich because they'll be able to buy regardless. But the more economically vulnerable will be more impacted. Odane Brooks, I don't know if you have any thoughts on all of what I just put there.
Certainly, certainly, Stokely. I keep coming back to the question as to whether sugary drink can be considered as an essential item. And I keep asking myself that question because, as your guest alluded to, we have seen.
You're our guest as well, Mr. Brooks. You're other.
Yes, yes.
Okay, co-host the show. Go ahead, sir.
we, we can see the lifestyle health issues that the society is grappling with. And
Yes,
so I come to the discussion from a standpoint acknowledging that taxes are usually a means to an end. And the
yes,
means to the end at this present moment is for the government to close the budgetary gap that
yeah.
exists
Yeah.
currently.
Do you
But
think the attempt to close the gap will be successful? I'm not saying you can see, I'm not saying you're a prophet, but what do you think can happen in terms of the likelihood from a policy
yes,
standpoint of closing this gap?
I believe based on what you alluded to just now in terms of the inelasticity of these products, which
Yeah,
are often a reflection of behavioral patterns, usually the conventional wisdom is that there will not be a dramatic fall off in overall consumption. But I will hasten to add that because there will not be a fall off does not necessarily support us not shifting to the point of trying to achieve behavioral change. I admit that this tax will not necessarily achieve the complete behavioral change, but what I think it does, it forces us to have a wider conversation about how we can holistically address some of these lifestyle diseases because the public health system is crippling not because of viral diseases, but because of diseases arising from the overall lifestyle choices of individuals. So I think we can achieve two outcomes from this. We can close the budget deficit from the continued intake from the revenues, but more fundamentally, I think we have to embark on a more comprehensive approach to get our population to understand that high sugary
behavioral
content.
change. Only because of time, Odane Brooks, we're at the break already. Never enough time on the morning watch. Viewers and listeners, please stay with us. We'll be right back on the morning watch.
No cash, no problem. Use Jamdex, Jamaica's central bank digital currency. The time by Jamdex is
7:15.
This is Flow, Jamaica's fastest mobile network, as verified by Ookla. It's the result of a complete network rebuild, with more power backup to reduce outages and satellite backup for greater mobile stability. You can even make regular calls using Wi-Fi. Welcome to our new era of connectivity, and we're not stopping there. This is Flow, Jamaica's network.
Yes, what you do?
What you do?
You go check me prostate.
No, seriously.
No, do that.
Remember, say that pops drop out from, you have to take it serious. You can just do the blood test, but better safe than sorry. So we do the full package. Plus, the NHF card help pay for the PSA test. Bigs, you're 40, The earlier, the better. Guys, me know you still want fire on all cylinder.
That is it. NHF is here for health. NHF is here for you.
Start your day informed, alert, and ahead of the curve. Join us at 6:30 a.m. for the latest breaking news, weather updates, and everything you need to know. Clear, concise, connected. It's your morning news right here on Love 101 FM, the family station. On Mondays, the morning news is brought to you by the Ministry of National Security Live Good Anti-Violence Campaign.
Welcome back to the Morning Watch. I'm your host, Stokeley Marshall. We are in the first watch, and the topic is, will the sugar tax work? For whom? And our guests are Michael Diamond and O'Dane Brooks. O'Dane Brooks, before the break, sir, you're making an interesting point in terms of what effect you think the new sugar tax, that's what we're calling it here on the program, the new sugar tax will have, generally speaking, here in Jamaica. Now, I want to raise this with you, gentlemen, and maybe I'll start with you, Mr. Diamond. From the consumer standpoint, I don't know if you have any information from consumer groups in other countries, for example. Do you see where any research shows the effect of a similar tax in other countries, Michael Diamond?
Oh, absolutely. That information is overwhelming, and the successes are there. There has not been any reports where this has been implemented and the results were negative as far as impact upon the health.
It's negative.
Negative in the sense that there wasn't an impact upon the consumer's health to begin with. And it wasn't always a matter of a revenue stream, but nevertheless, to attack what was happening where the health of the citizens were concerned, there were significant decreases in the consumption of sugar, especially, and they saw where there was a decrease in obesity and diabetes reflected.
Did you get the revenue they wanted?
Well, I would say that, of course, that would have been the icing on the cake ultimately. But the fact of the matter is that
if there was a decrease in obesity, it would suggest that there was a decrease in sugar consumption, which means that,
yes, but what
which
it also
would suggest that they wouldn't have raised enough money from the tax.
What also happened was that the reformulation that was done by the manufacturers. So in that regard, there was still now consumption for the healthier alternatives. So it wasn't just simply a matter of raising money, but keep in mind that the knee-jerk reaction that seemed to be happening now because of this shouldn't really be the issue.
What knee-jerk reaction are you referring to?
But by the fact that once this was introduced, everyone was basically looking at what burdens it will put upon, consumers. There isn't any burden when it comes down to health to begin with. And these taxes wouldn't have been implemented until 2027. So it's not as if, this is something that is going to affect the individuals most vulnerable among us. Everyone knows that drinking and eating certain items are very unhealthy. And the fact of the matter is we have to address this as soon as possible. So it's no longer a matter of whether it will work or not work. Even if the budgetary gap is not filled, there has to start be that discussion.
So let's go back to the budgetary gap.
Right. So we still have.
So if this tax doesn't raise it because people end up consuming less sugar, there'll be that hole in the budget.
Well, guess what happened? Yeah. The thing is that I think maybe it's not an overnight thing, and this is definitely for the long term. But as far as the gap in the budget is concerned, that is something that again, I would say that is very optimistic. It's very optimistic. But certainly on the health side of things,
just for the benefit of the listeners and for those, for even our guests here, it's not about which party is in power. So don't go there. I'm talking about the reality of the gap in the budget. But thank you, Mr. Diamond, for those thoughts. O'Dane Brooks, Mr.
Yes,
Brooks,
sir. I'm here.
You would have heard Mr. Diamond a moment ago. Do you have any, as a researcher yourself, I don't know if you have come across any findings from other jurisdictions, other countries, in terms of the impact of a similar type of tax on consumption and revenue generation for the governments of those countries or places.
I don't readily have any numbers on hand, but what I can point to is different measures that have been put in place in a different jurisdiction. Mr. Diamond alluded to earlier the approach of front of package labeling.
Yes,
That
yes.
discussion started here in Jamaica, but as we know,
Don't we
there
have
are
that for cigarettes and people still buy cigarettes?
certainly, but there are other front of package labelings that
Yes.
can be attached to other products, which at least gives the consumer a greater awareness of the nutritional or the lack of nutritional content within some of these
Stick up
products.
in for a second. If the government doesn't raise enough revenue from this measure, because people actually end up consuming less sugary drinks,
Yes.
do you have any suggestions or proposals as to how the gap can be filled? I'm putting you in the seat of the Minister of Finance, or at least
wow.
your advisor.
I would say the reason why certain products are taxed
Yes.
is because the government does a calculation to say
Okay.
what products can we tax, and it will have the most minimal effect, but at the same time it will guarantee the revenue generation. So taxes
Okay.
are usually applied and you require there to be certainty of collection.
So you believe that they've already done the calculations and they already believe, well, let me say, take out the word believe. They've already done the calculations and they have determined that they will be able to generate the relevant revenue.
Absolutely. And even before the minister went to parliament, I surmised that we would see another tax on cigarette, because cigarette has proven to be very resilient over the years, because people are not
Be careful,
shifting
you said that, cigarettes have proven to be very resilient. What do you mean by that,
under the
Mr. Brooks?
pressures of taxes.
Oh, Mr. Diamond, did you hear Mr. Brooks?
You know,
Cigarettes have proven to be resilient. Resilient
know,
in
The
what
numbers
sense?
reflected Stokely.
I heard, but keep in mind
This is the
that,
morning watch, by the way, and many Christians do not smoke cigarettes. In fact, I
which
would
is
say
very good. But do
majority of
keep in mind that
born again Christians
we
don't
can
smoke.
also be viewing this as, individuals do have bad habits. Bad habits are hard to break. And the
Yes.
fact is that, tuning ourselves or weaning ourselves off sugar is not something that's going to happen overnight. And the fact is that measurement that the government has made is that by the time that there is a dramatic shift, we would have
Yes.
been able to cover that gap. So again, it's not an overnight thing. No one is going to stop drinking sugary drinks overnight. But
Yes.
in the interim, they will be able to fill that gap because
And I
there
think you're
is an
also
addiction.
saying, I think you're saying that it might start the conversation.
Well, the conversation should have been started already because we do have
or continue that conversation about health.
Well, I would
And what
say
can
that
the
it should be a
consumer-
continued conversation, but the best part of it is that there is actually going to be implementation of a tax that will drive that conversation further. Because the reality of it is that this is something
We're
that we
saying the
must
same
deal
thing,
with.
We're saying the same thing, Mr. Diamond. We're saying the same thing. Yes, understood, sir. So you regard, Mr. Diamond, you regard the tax, you'd call it a sin tax, SIN, because it refers to these sin taxes like on cigarettes.
Definitely not. I definitely don't want to put that connotation on the tax because again, that can drive away the message. We don't want the message to be misconstrued.
I see. Now, interestingly, we do have companies that play a significant role in the economy. They do, in fact, I'm assuming. Well, my information is, and maybe you gentlemen can confirm, we do have companies in Jamaica that produce items that contain a lot of sugar and that can be, that, persons drink, and they employ a lot of persons. And these companies do contribute to the tax net and etc. So what sort of communication would either of you determine is required with these companies? Because essentially you're trying to address behavioral change, you're trying to raise taxes, will it be a demotivation to some of these entities which are currently producing these kinds of products with a lot of sugar? Starting with you, Dane Brooks.
I don't think, if we're looking at it from a futuristic standpoint, it should be a demotivation,
Okay.
because from a business standpoint, it
Yes.
cannot be just profit for profit's sake. It has to be that we continuously look to provide better options for consumers. And
Yeah.
I'm not certain as to why some of these products also have to have the high sugary content. So I think it requires a holistic and an all-inclusive approach where businesses understand their role in the public health resolve that we must develop. And I think they should use these as opportunities to explore other options that they can offer to better serve the consumers that they attempt to serve. So ultimately, I don't think it should demotivate them.
And on a serious note, Mr. Brooks, when you did say earlier on that cigarettes are proven to be resilient, I think what you really meant, of course, is that when the government taxes cigarettes or has taxes in relation to cigarettes, what really ends up happening is that the revenue is more or less collected, notwithstanding that, there are these health issues with cigarettes. I think that's what you meant, Mr. Brooks.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah.
So they're resilient under the tax. People
And
usually don't.
so I'm just asking myself as well. Again, we don't know. We let us see how it pans out. But would a similar thing happen with sugary products? Will persons essentially say, "Well, I don't care. I'm going to buy them anyway"? Mr. Brooks?
It might happen
It might
because I don't think we consciously go into a store to say a tax is applied to this, so we'll not consume. A lot of
Yes.
the time, these are things of convenience, and so
And
persons
relative
will.
to other items, they might still end up being cheaper than many other things. Interestingly.
Well, that might be the case, but it also points to how we also change our own approach, because I
Yeah.
can't see why drinking water cannot be an effective replacement for sugary drink.
But there's no sugar in it. And Mr. Diamond started it. But Mr. Diamond, I think you indicated that the whole matter of addiction. Before we wrap, Mr. Diamond, let's have you make a final comment, if any, in relation to all of what we have just said. That addictive element versus wanting to raise revenue. Any final thoughts you want to leave with us, sir?
Okay, keep in mind that the motivation can come from some tax incentive for manufacturers to reformulate their ingredients.
Okay.
But in the protection of our consumers,
So that's a suggestion you're making to sort of keep business people motivated. Those
absolutely. But we got to keep in mind that a lot of them have been very unscrupulous, because they would introduce a product that says,
Mr. Diamond, what evidence do you have that they have been unscrupulous?
I'm about to tell you, when they introduce a product that says 30% less sugar,
send a letter to the general manager at Love FM.
No, man, just forward those letters to me, please.
Diamond, we don't have that evidence. Mr. Diamond, these are honorable business people. Mr. Diamond, any final thoughts you want to leave with us, sir?
Again, from a consumer advocate perspective, I can tell you very much that they have been very unscrupulous with how they market to our consumers, and that is the reason why we have to protect them.
I don't know about them being unscrupulous.
Well, I am telling it. Well, I am saying it to you. Well, yes, Stokeley, but I'm making it very clear to you from the hat that I'm wearing. So basically, what happened is, as I expressed,
the unscrupulous nature of these people, Mr. Diamond.
If you allow me to continue, you'll be able to hear this. So when a business advertises that this 30% less sugar, just because we are having this conversation, it will misinform the consumer to believe that 30% less now means that it's healthy. But if it's coming down from 200% in the ingredient, that means that it didn't become healthier.
But it doesn't mean
it's just very misleading.
Sugar is false. It means that 30% less sugar is, in fact, 30% less sugar. Anyway, Mr. Diamond, Mr. Brooks, I want to thank the both of you for being guests with us on the Morning Watch. We're completely out of time, and I'm getting a signal that we need to wrap now. Gentlemen, thank you for your time and for your thoughts. Listeners and viewers, please stay with us. We'll be right back on the Morning Watch.
Start your journey with a JN Small Business Loan with small business loans as little as $10,000 and up to $4 million. The time by JN Small Business Loan is
7:31.
If your home internet is slow but your mobile isn't, it's time to make the switch to Flow. Now Jamaica's fastest mobile network with the best value. And the benefits begin right from the start. When you add postpaid mobile to your current internet plan, you get a $20,000 gift card just for signing up. For only $3,700 plus GCT per month, enjoy unlimited social media and YouTube, 80 gigabytes of NU's data plus unlimited anywhere local calls and texts. Make the switch to Flow today. This is Jamaica's network. Conditions apply.
Mama work hard, for real. She do the most to send me and my brother go school. So, the dream was always to go to university. Well, I fulfilled 2 dreams with 1 Jane Bank savings plan, you know. I further my education and I make mama proud.
Save so you can make the park, travel park, graduate like a star.
Stop wishing you could. With your Jane Bank savings, you absolutely can. Jane Bank will help you find a way.
Everyday moments like buying groceries, paying bills, and grabbing lunch add up. Each time you pay with your Visa card, you're earning a chance to win. 10 lucky winners will receive US $1,000 in household supplies, plus US $1,000 for a registered school in Western Jamaica. 5 winners will win US $500 in groceries, and 3 winners will take home a 30-inch gas stove with a gas cylinder. Every tap earns an entry. Pay with your Visa card today for your chance to win. Promotion ends March 6, 2026. Conditions apply. Visit visa.com.jm. Authorized under Section 58.3 of the Betting, Gaming and Lotteries Commissions Act.
Welcome back to the Morning Watch. I'm your host, Stokeley Marshall. Let's take a look now at the newspapers to see what Jamaicans and others are saying and doing. And we have here in the Gleaner Online, top story. The headline is Cuba Pivot. Cuba Pivot. Prime Minister Dr. Andrew Holness has signaled a pivot in Jamaica's diplomatic stance toward Cuba, calling for a principled realism. And principled realism is in open and close quotation. Principled realism that balances traditional regional solidarity with a demand for democratic reform and open market transitions. Holness also warned that the growing humanitarian crisis in the Spanish-speaking nation could develop into a regional problem, pointing to a possible immigration threat. And we have a bit of, another headline here from the Gleaner. Court awards Pillion $6.5 million for injuries after crash. We turn now to the Daily Observer. Reference to a story on the front page, for which there's further reading at page 5. Crown to start rolling out evidence against Tesha Miller. And the main item of news on the front page of the Daily Observer is this headline here. In relation to this headline, guilty before help. Guilty before help. Kids being pushed to plead, undermining reform process. This story by Jerome Williams. Justice Minister Delroy Chuck on Tuesday charged that some judges are requiring children to plead guilty before referring them to the child diversion program, raising concerns that minors may be acquiring criminal records through a process that was specifically designed to rehabilitate them without formal conviction. Those and many other stories in our various news sources. Of course, coming up next, we will read for you some of the feedback from our Facebook, YouTube, and WhatsApp question, which is, will you be changing your drinking habit because of the sugar tax? If you haven't done so yet, leave your responses in our Facebook or YouTube. Love 1FM Jamaica Live, and also WhatsApp comments and voice notes too. 876-9973-125 using the hashtag The Morning Watch. We'll be right back.
Life can feel overwhelming at times, but you don't have to face it alone. The Ministry of Counseling and Prayer of the Edgewater Baptist Church is here to support you with our caring and confidential telephone counseling service. Whatever you're going through, grief, stress, family challenges, or just feeling stuck, our trained counselors are ready to listen, pray, and guide you toward hope and healing. Take the first step today. Call us at 876-220-6474 or 876-332-7956. Weekdays between 8 a.m. and 9 p.m. Saturdays and Sundays between 8 a.m. and 8 p.m. Help is available through the prayer and counseling ministry of the Edgewater Baptist Church. Remember, help is just a phone call away. That's 876-220-6474 or 876-332-7956. Weekdays between 8 a.m. and 9 p.m. Saturdays and Sundays between 8 a.m. and 8 p.m. Call now and let us walk this journey with you.
Happy, 'cause you have strayed.
Welcome back to the Morning Watch. I'm your host, Stokeley Marshall. Now for your responses to the social media question. Our social media question: will you be changing your drinking habit because of the sugar tax? Chakal.
All right, so we have Cherry from Spanish Town. Cherry says, I am not too into the sugary drinks, so it's not a problem for me. The sugary drinks are less expensive, so there's an unbalance. There will not be any great change for sugary drinks. It boils down to healthy and behavioral change individually. I also have a voice note from Edna. Let's hear from her.
Good morning, Morning Watch. Good morning, Love 101 listeners and staff. For me, there won't be much change in my drinking habit because I'm already conscious about my drinking habit. I mostly drink water. Sometimes I want to go for the juice. The appetite always wants certain things. But the spirit said drink water, so I'll go for water. But however, sometimes I take some of those sugary drinks, but it's just in moderation.
All right, thank you so much for those responses.
Thank you indeed. We move right into the second watch. And in this second watch, we will be discussing Barbados. Barbados 2026 elections, pros, cons, and lessons that come from a third consecutive sweep. Well, we have as our guests, one of them is Barbadian, Reverend Dr. Patrick Tanis, politician and banker, Barbados, and a social commentator. Might I call him also my Barbadian brother? And we also have Dr. Paul Bourne, a Jamaican, my Jamaican brother, political commentator and statistician. Dr. Tanis. I think we're hearing you, Dr. Tanis. We'll be with you in a moment, sir. Maybe someone can get a word to him that we are actually hearing him, and maybe we can resolve that audio issue. Dr. Bourne, good morning.
Good morning and good morning to your listeners.
While we resolve issues concerning Reverend Dr. Patrick Tanis with his audio, I don't know if you heard the first watch in terms of the sugar tax, which is to be operationalized. Sir, any thoughts? In 30 seconds.
The last speaker.
In 30 seconds, only 30 seconds, because we're trying to resolve the audio with the Dr. Tanis.
In terms of, if they have reduced sugar drinks by 30%, they have reduced it by 30%. We need to be careful about, making claims. However, what is actually certain from the sugary drink, most of these drinks are inelastic products, which means increasing the taxes on these products will not change in terms of the consumption, but all the price to which people will pay for these items.
I see. Unless they probably made it very expensive by virtue of the tax, but your view is that they're inelastic. The demand is inelastic, so it's unlikely to
change.
Good morning.
The consumption.
Might I add that I am an advocate for healthiness, so I'm not promoting sugary products, but I understand the wider socioeconomic context. Reverend Dr. Patrick Tanis.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning, sir.
What's going on, brother?
I'm fine.
Hey, listen, I got some mobby and some rotis for you over here, bro. Shift that.
I can't stand you, man. You want me to talk Bayesian on the program this morning? It's the first time Dr. Bourne hearing me talk like that today. He didn't know.
Dr. Bourne, my brother, how you doing?
I'm awesome, Sir Tanis. Awesome.
Stoke is a Beijing,
I realize.
Dr. Bourne didn't know that.
Just a few days in Barbados, right?
Yeah. We family, We family.
Yes. We family, man. We family, man. You heard how I said that? Okay, Dr.
Yes.
Right. So Barbados, you had their 2026 elections just the other day, and of course, Mia Mottley, her party, all 30 seats went to that party. No opposition seats. Dr. Tanis, well, Reverend, you are living in the country. You are there. You are seeing what's going on the ground. I did have a discussion with someone prior to the last election you just had, and his word for the opposition party or parties, and I'm not saying this in a negative way, but he used a word which suggested that he knew that her government would have become the government again. What he never said, though, is how many seats. But of course, we are seeing that they got all the seats. So, gentlemen, democratic expression, the landslide. What does it say about trusting leadership as opposed to how people view the opposition in Barbados? Reverend Dr. Patrick Tanis, I don't know if you want to say anything on that.
My brother, you may not have known this, but I ran for office here in Barbados. And I ran on the Democratic Labour Party
I
ticket.
know you're a politician.
Yeah. And I advised the leader then, which is a good man, Ralph Thorne. I advised him about intricacies concerning his future run to be prime minister. And I advised him that, and I saw what was going on. There were two persons in the Democratic Labour Party who were advising him to split the party, in essence. And I went and sat with him 4 times, and I said, you cannot do this. You will commit political suicide.
Yeah.
And I warned him 4 times, and he still went and allowed them to have their way. He had also a very prominent, eminent lawyer, a young lady, Tricia Watson. Yeah. And she was the person that was speaking on behalf of the consumers of Barbados.
Yes.
And what happened was that he put her in the Senate, and then he took her out. And she's one of the most popular ladies on the island. And she was opposing the government with absolute strength. And she is in her own very popular. Why put someone like that in the Senate who's doing a great job and then remove them? So that was the second critical mistake he made. And then, of course, Prime Minister Motley, and let me say this, right? She's doing an amazing job, you know. It's not like she's in as the leader of the country and she's doing nothing. They rescued the economy of Barbados. The person who wrecked the economy of Barbados, she put him in the Senate now. Listen to this. And he's now the foreign affairs minister. He came from the Democratic Labour Party, but he wrecked the economy. And she gave him now a chance to redeem himself. Just
to remind the listeners, there are 2 main parties in Barbados. One is the Democratic Labour Party, the DLP, and the other one is the Barbados Labour Party, the BLP. And the government is the political party which is now in power is Reverend
the Barbados Labour Party,
the BLP, headed by Mia Mottley. We're almost headed to the break already. Could you hold that thought for a second? Dr. Bourne, any thoughts you want to open with here, sir, before we head to the break?
Well, as Dr. Tanis actually spoke about it. When you are a good leader and you're perceived as a good leader, it's difficult to be beaten. All right? And look at what she did on the international stage as well, in terms of what she's setting in terms of the world stage, in terms of global warming, climate change, and what she's doing.
I see. Hold that thought for a second, Dr. Bourne, because I see we're right now upon the break. Listeners and viewers, please stay with us. Very interesting. We'll be right back on the Morning Watch.
If your home internet is slow, but your mobile isn't, it's time to make the switch to Flow. Now Jamaica's fastest mobile network with the best value. And the benefits begin right from the start. When you add postpaid mobile to your current internet plan, you get a $20,000 gift card just for signing up. For only $3,700 plus GCT per month, enjoy unlimited social media and YouTube. 80 gigabytes of unused data plus unlimited anywhere local calls and texts. Make the switch to Flow today. This is Jamaica's network. Conditions apply.
Jamaica Central Bank digital currency is now here. Jamdex, no cash, no problem. Step into a future of ease, convenience, and security. Conduct business with your mobile device instantly and without fees. This is how life should be with Jamdex. You get it free. Jamdex and the real free. Use it to buy your stove or TV. You can buy your shoes or 3-piece. The central bank digital currency. No cash, no problem. Jamdex, backed by the Bank of Jamaica.
See all my other face bruise up? They beat me just because I said I'm tired.
I'm only 13, but they said if I work harder, they will make me go back home.
Me not have no birth paper nor no ID. Them have all of my documents then. Forced labor is one of the many forms of human trafficking. Report suspected cases of human trafficking. Call the nearest police station, 119 or 888-PROTECT. A message from the Ministry of National Security.
Welcome back to the Morning Watch. I'm your host, Stokeley Marshall. We are in the second watch, and the topic is Barbados 2026 elections, pros, cons, and lessons that come from a third consecutive sweep. Our guests, of course, Dr. Paul Bourne, Reverend Dr. Patrick Tannis. Dr. Bourne, just before the break, sir, you had started to make some comments. Please continue, sir, that you essentially were going on to add that the Prime Minister, Mia Mottley, she's on the international stage, as well as, you know, her impact locally in Barbados. Continue.
Absolutely. No, we want to sort of lay some context. The last time she won 22 out of 30 seats, right?
Yes.
And if it is that you won almost 73% of the seats the last time, and she has actually seen a reduction in terms of the debt to GDP, you're seeing a reduction in terms of unemployment, you're seeing other things materialize in society, then that automatically leads to what we're actually having here. And based on what Dr. Tannis is actually saying to us, is if it is that you have moved the most popular person on the other side of the fence, what it does is to weaken the other side's position and therefore strengthen her position, which is exactly what is actually happening in Barbados at the moment.
So it raises this issue, which I'll raise with you, which I'll put to you, Reverend Dr. Tannis. Is it that the BLP, the Barbados Labour Party, got all 30 seats, not so much because, you know, the other party couldn't have gotten any seats per se, but it is because the DLP, the Democratic Labour Party, is, as it were, just, you have a term sometimes we use, they're not showing up, they're not really having the impact. Is it that the Democratic Labour Party was almost like a gift to the Barbados Labour Party, in your view?
Well, to be honest, yes. The answer is yes. They did not show up. They split the party. So emerging from the Democratic Labour Party was a splinter party, the Friends of Democracy. And they're all the workers who served and who built the party, who were on the ground on the day of election, right? And some young people who were also a part of the movement of the Democratic Labour Party defected to the Barbados Labour Party. Mottley has a magnetic personality, right? She's a great leader. She's a woman of substance. She speaks well. She knows her stuff, right? She's someone who has done a great job, right? And listen, I ran against Mottley, and I can tell you that Prime Minister Mottley has done a great job for Barbados. She has she has a finance minister, Ryan Strawn, who rescued the economy. Both of them came up with a strategy that rescued the economy, where the Democratic Labour Party, under the then finance minister, suffered about 20-something to 30-something downgrades, if that's possible. Downgrades that cost us everything. It meant that the interest we paid on loans and sovereign bonds and so on all increased. So he wrecked the economy. Yes, he did. And then she still came back and gave him a chance and put him at the World Bank, and now gave him a chance as the Minister of Foreign Affairs and completely muzzled him, right? So it's a case where Prime Minister Mottley, is a brilliant political strategist, a global figure imparting leadership, showing that women of the Caribbean, Black women, not just women, but women of the Caribbean, can emerge as global iconic leaders of substance, right? And we see her here that way in Barbados. We see her that way in Barbados. And that's why she won. So it's not just that, the DLP folded, they had a chance. And they split their own party. They destroyed themselves. But then the leadership of Motley also spoke to the electorate.
Had the DLP not split, had the DLP showed up more, what do you think the seat count would have looked like?
Well, the possibilities were that they would have won at least one, I think. At least one, perhaps two. Perhaps even two.
So you don't think it would have been enough to gain more than the 8 seats they had on the last occasion?
They didn't have 8 seats on the last occasion. On the last occasion that they had seats. Let's say, so we're talking about 3 30 loves. 3 30 to zeros. Dr. Bourne, Stoke, 3, right? And this now spans 3 elections, okay? So Motley came in when the Democratic Labour Party in 2018 overstayed their due.
Forgive me, assist us here. How many seats did the opposition have in the first of the 3, the second of the 3? We know the current count. What was what were the number of seats in the first of the 3 terms for her?
It was all 30-0.
All 30-0. And on the last occasion, how much was it?
So then Ralph Thorne defected from the Barbados Labour Party.
Yes.
It was 29-1.
29-1.
Yeah, he crossed the floor. Right?
I see.
There was no opposition. He crossed the floor, and then he got literally obliterated. And he's a nice guy.
I see.
He's a nice fellow. But it's just that Motley's record of leading was so powerful, so strong. And you have to give her, right? As we would say, give Jack his jacket. Give her her credit. She is a great leader. She's an outstanding leader, right? Not just locally. I mean, you hear about her internationally, but locally, she engages with her public. She engages with her people. She's recognized that 78% of Barbadians go to church. So she's now also coming closer to the church, which is good for you to hear that, Stoke and Dr. Bourne, right?
Well,
she's acknowledging God in the country.
Is she a Christian?
She is a Christian, and I know personally that she is.
Okay. And does she have a biblical worldview, to your knowledge? Or some people go to church, but they don't have a biblical worldview. You know, I don't know if you know that. You know the distinction, Dr. Tennis.
Yeah. So here's what's happening. Listen to this. Do you know that Prime Minister Motley has put 2 councillors in her cabinet? You know who they are? One is the regional superintendent of the Wesleyan Fellowship. Okay? And the other is an ordained minister as well.
What are the views of the current Barbados government on issues to do with abortion, for example? Is it a pro-abortion government?
So, as you know,
yes,
Barbados had previously signed into these PAHO and these global, entities, if you want to say that. Yes. PAHO is headquartered here in Barbados. So what they have previously called these things, Sangster and her gang murdering babies, right? We're saying that this is, female healthcare. But what the government has been doing is listening to the church. So the church has been coming back, sharing an opposing perspective on what healthcare is for women, children, men, and babies, right? And so the church is pushing back, giving a different focus on that. And so we're going to see the outcome of that pushback very soon. That's what it will say.
I see.
But you don't want to actually come in here because what is also important.
Dr. Bourne, yes, please.
She also has a worldview which is similar to the old People's National Party approach, where
I see
public good social issues are somewhat at the base. And if you sort of take that approach, it will be difficult to sort of beat an individual with a background that is dealing with social care, social development. So when you add social care, social development, and address an economic issue inside anywhere, you are going to be like a father or godfather of the people. And you're talking about an individual who has an economic background a lawyer, so she understands that sort of mix. So it is difficult to compete with someone
You know that when the
comfortable.
People's National Party was the government in the 1970s,
But she has that sort of flair, and
I'm just adding this. It was under Michael Manley, I recall. Well, I don't recall, but I read and understood. It was under his administration that they had implemented some guidelines, interestingly, in terms of abortion. I think the minister felt at the time might have been McNeil, if my understanding of what I read is correct. So that I just ask because it's one thing to say that the person is a Christian, but
Can I give you an interesting fact?
Go ahead, sir.
Listen.
Yes.
In Barbados.
Yes.
The founder of the Barbados Labour Party was Sir Grantley Adams. He was the first premier and the only premier of the West Indies Federation. His wife taught me at Harrison College. Chetty Jagan's nephew was also at Harrison College. And Michael Manley's grandson was also at Harrison College. And Tom Adams' son, which is the grandson of Sir Grantley, was also at Harrison College at the same time. Can you imagine that?
Yes.
Right? And I am the product of the Tannises, right? Of the as you know, of the Windward Leeward Islands, right? So you had dynasties there at Harrison College, including Sir Walter Rodney's children were also in Barbados at the same school at the same time. Interesting, right? Right? And so I want to just leverage that and say that the Motleys were our sister school. Okay, Mia Motley and her sister Ailan were at the sister school Queen's College, and we all used to fellowship after school and during lunchtime sometimes, but certainly on weekends, right? So in Barbados, you had an interesting diaspora of political minds being built up. Ralph Thorne himself was there, the same guy who ran against Prime Minister Motley, right? He was the leader of the opposition. He was at the same school, and his brothers were there. And here is what's interesting. Arabaro's son was also there, who's the founder of the Democratic Labour Party. His son was at that same school. Interesting, right?
Reverend Dr. Patrick Tannis, only because of time. And by the way, thank you for your correction earlier on the seat count. What would you say are the lessons for Jamaica concerning what just happened in Barbados?
So you have a powerful prime minister in the name of the current leader, Mr. Holness, right? Mr. Holness, if he would listen to the council, if it were of history, he should look after the people's interests. He should have a strong voice on the outside, but take care of the people's interests on the inside. Have the ministers
strong voice on the outside, but take care of the people's interests on the inside. I think we have to leave it there this morning, gentlemen. Okay. Only because of time, because I'm watching the clock. Okay. Dr. Bourne, thank you, sir. And Reverend Dr. Tannis, thank you, sir. Thank you as well. And thank you, listeners and viewers, for being with us. Join us again tomorrow as we look at other topical and controversial issues. And of course, don't forget to tune in to the Morning Watch by looking at our YouTube channel and Facebook page for this and all other Love 101 FM programs. And of course, download our Love 101 app and stay connected to us, the family station, Love 101 FM, the #1 gospel station in Jamaica. Join me again thanks to Kathy Gale, of course, and to our guests. And join me again tomorrow as I continue to look at the issues of the day. And I should have said our producer, Kathy Gale, thanks to her. I am Stokeley Marshall, handing it back to Love in the Morning with Chukal Daya.
For all your supermarket, everyday needs, and much more, make it Megamart, the best value by far. The time is
8 a.m. and you are now invited to listen to Forward in Faith, brought to you by the New Testament Church of God in Bayside, Portmore.